Danny Phil from Cradleton. You're listening to BGP Music Live.
Thank you.
God damn it. Yeah.
Welcome to BGP Music Live.
Cradle is more than 30 now. That's impressive. How can you explain such a longevity?
With what? Sorry. What, the band?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's our career for a start. So obviously looking for longevity on that. I don't know. It's very hard to describe as someone looking out and being the progenitor of said band. It's very hard to comment on how people react and visualize and why they may like or dislike your band. So I don't really have a good answer for that, other than maybe, I don't know, that we've been very proactive as a band. Always, just coming up to our 14th studio album, not including live records or EPs. So, and as you said, it's almost 30 years. Next year will be the 30th anniversary of The Principle of Evil May Flesh. And I don't feel like I'm 32. Yes, of course. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the appeal is, quite frankly. But I'm glad it has an appeal.
And how can a band keep in its DNA all over the years, and especially with big change of lineup?
Well, I think lineup changes have always been a bit of a bugbear with us. Everybody said, "Oh God, you've had so many people in your band." But I also point out, if you work for a radio station, or if you work for a TV company or a magazine, etc., anything still within the bounds of the music industry, there will always be changes. There will always be people coming into work, liking it, working for a while, then going on to another job or whatever. The same with bands. And the majority of the people that have been changed in Cradle of Filth, it's all been down to them wanting to leave for either personal reasons, like family commitments, or wanting to go on and do their own thing, or having their own bands, etc., etc. But the process of having different people has kept the band fresh, in my opinion. Obviously, we don't just choose anybody to become the band. We've got 2 new members since our last record. And it was for that reason that we decided to put the 2 tracks that appear on the live record on there, because they were originally destined to be on a new record. But then we had a couple of people change in the lineup. And so we wanted to begin the new album afresh. And then we thought, well, this is cool. If we put these on the live record, at least it will give people an insight of what Cradle of Filth were like in 2022. When the album was compiled. So I think it's a win-win situation altogether.
Okay, let's talk a little about the current situation of the music industry, especially in Great Britain. Did you feel big changes since COVID and Brexit?
Not entirely. Well, yes, I guess so. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily to do with either. I mean, we've been threatened with the whole Brexit, cost rise and expenses to musicians. That really hasn't surfaced. Well, I think the main problem here is, the fact that there's a war going on in Ukraine, and subsequently oil prices have soared, which means bus prices have soared, and the pandemic obviously had an effect on everybody. And the reason why we released the live record is because we found ourselves falling behind a year. Existence is Futile was finished in 2020, but didn't come out till 2021. It was delayed by a whole year, which meant that it was the last record for Nuclear Blast, and we couldn't move to our new label to do our new album for another year. So in the interim, our live engineer suggested, well, I recorded all these songs from the world tour. Why don't you compile a live record. So basically that's what we did. So the live record was actually a product of circumstance. It wasn't planned, although that doesn't diminish the quality of it and the hard work that was put into it. But yeah, I've noticed a few things. It doesn't help with the Americans trying to initiate a price rise for the visas for bands. So hopefully that won't happen, because we pay an extortionate amount of money for visas to go and play America anyway, far more than they do for coming over here. So there's lots and lots of different things that are very influential. And we noticed these, especially on our last tour with co-headline tour with Devil Driver that finished 3 weeks ago. The cost of the buses, the fuel, astronomical. And the pay for the bus driver and the cost of the hotels, everything's going up. And obviously you've got a lot of bands out on the road now because, you know, they spent basically 2 years in captivity, couldn't tour. We were fortunate that we managed to get special visas to go to America. And so we were in America while the pandemic was on, actually. And we were very lucky not to have got ill, because both of our support bands at the time, which was Three Teeth and Once Human, both contracted the virus, both in New York, funny enough. So yeah, it's been difficult. But as with everything, you mutate and survive, and survive we are.
Congrats. And this live album is called Trouble and Double Lives, if I guess well. And what can we expect of it?
It's got live songs on it. That's what you can expect. And they're from Cradle of Filth.
Okay.
Well, it's a homage to our whole back catalogue. We haven't favoured new material over old material. We have stuff from Principle, I think, Vampire, Dust, Cruelty, Midian, Damnation in the Day, Bittersweets, Godspeed and the Devil's Thunder, Hammer of the Witches, Cryptoriana. You know, basically we cover all Nymphetamine, obviously. So we haven't favoured one particular era of Cradle of Filth. We tried to represent everything as much as we can, obviously, on 2 discs. And also, we didn't want to repeat ourselves from our live record, albeit 20 years previously. We wanted to keep that fresh as well. So actually choosing the songs and which ones were going on there was a mission impossible in itself. But yeah, the production's great. The songs were taken from different gigs, different parts of the world. Our studio engineer had the unenviable task of siphoning through all of the shows and picking the tracks that we wanted. And he was looking specifically for great sounding gigs with high energy. And hopefully he's managed to capture that. There are 2 original tracks on there, She Is a Fire and Demon Prince Regent. We've already had a video for She Is a Fire. There's a video for Demon Prince Regent, which is set against a live scenario. So it's a live video, but with the song over the top. And that should be coming out. Well, it should be coming out Friday, but I doubt it because we haven't delivered it to the record company yet. Good point. So 2 new tracks, 16 live songs, great packaging, lots of different formats for the collectors out there, different vinyl variants, and limited edition box set as well. So yeah, people into Cradle of Filth, they're going to love it.
Okay, you spoke of packaging. You as always had you had always a strong visual identity. And according to you, what is the role of artwork in metal music?
Well, it's not essential, but I personally think along the lines of how I got into metal, what attracted me to metal. And the first thing was seeing people when I was young the cut off denim jackets, and they had all these patches, and I was literally enamored with, like, oh my God, look, there's a Dio patch, and it had like his like goat creature on it, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I'd see a Venom patch with Venom Legions, and that got me because I never heard the music. That attracted me, the visuals. And so I think the visuals are very important, as are videos, artwork, lyricism. Obviously always been a very big lyric fan. I think all of these things are very important. There's not a lot bands have to get right after music, you can count them on your hand, really. So yeah, I think it's all part and parcel of what metal's about. Metal's about escapism, and obviously it's loud, it's noisy, it's dark, it's satanic. That's the whole point of metal. And yeah, I think if you believe all those traits, then artwork and videos and stage performance and lyricism is very part of the attribute, of metal. It's part and parcel of it. They all go hand in hand with the initial concept of a record. More so in this genre than any other genre, I believe. And my dad was a record collector, so yeah, I was familiar with several genres. And metal may be the most bitter of all of them. People are always moaning at each other, moaning about other bands. This is shit, that's shit. Just check out Blabbermouth if you don't believe me. But on the other hand, metal seems to be the most loyal. If someone's into a band, they buy everything. They buy the vinyl, they buy the bloody cassettes that are reissued, and that's because they're attracted to the ideology, the whole concept of which, artwork is a part of.
And creators of his musical style has changed a lot all over the years. It went from death to symphonic black metal. She's a Fire is different, sounds different to so the present albums. So the question is, what's next for the band?
Well, strangely enough, we have obviously the new live album comes out on Friday, Trouble and the Double Lives. And then on the 15th of May, which is the day we get back from playing in Las Vegas at the Sick New World Festival, we're in the studio beginning the drums for our new album, which we've written, which is as yet untitled, and we'll probably see the light of day. I guess the first single from the new album will come out at the beginning of next year. Hopefully the album will be out about the same time. But in the meantime, we're going to be spending the summer recording the album, and then we go back on tour, I think, in September, doing the second leg of the Double Trouble Live, with co-headline with Devil Driver in the States, and then Cradle go to South America and Central America. And in between that, we do we've got a collaborative single with Ed Sheeran coming out, which is a charity single. And I'm actually in the studio tomorrow helping to mix that song.
Okay, and why did you choose Ed Sheeran for this collab?
Well, it was it was circumstantial as well. Not on this album of his, but his previous album, he did a video where he was like a vampire. And I think he did a couple of interviews with, like, I'd like to say different magazines. And subsequently, he was asked, about the visuals, and he said, that when he grew up, he was like a fan of Slipknot and Cradle of Filth. And he also had a great story that involved Cradle of Filth, because he was due to come and do some studio work as part of like a work thing they do at college. And he was supposed to come to our studio, but we didn't use that studio in the end. So he went to work for the city council, which he fucking hated. And because of that, he decided, no, I'm never going to have a proper job. I'm going to do music. and he was telling this story. And because of that, our manager got in touch with his manager and said, hey, you know what would be fun if Cradle and Ed did something together? They had no idea it was going to be a single or anything like that. We just like, he put it out there. And I became friends with him. So because he doesn't live too far from where I live, maybe half an hour by car. Although currently he's in America because he's got that weird trial. Because again, somebody is accusing him of copying one of their songs, which is utter bullshit. I was talking to him about it, and they're talking about 2 chords. Fucking 2 chords. That's what music's built on, literally 2 or 3 chords. So anyway, so been like a pen pal with him for must have been almost a year and a half, 2 years. We had the idea about the song, so we wrote a song that we wanted him to be on, and we had him in mind. So we wrote it with parts that we knew that he would be very good at doing. So there's acoustic on there. It's a metal song. It has a blast beat in on it and everything. And eventually we met up just before Christmas because obviously he's very busy. I'm busy. And he came down to the studio with his guitar over his back on his own, driving his wife's car, Cradle hoodie on. And yeah, we finished the song and it sounds great. It's going to be for charity, as I mentioned. So there's a lot of things that need to be put into place before it's released. So I can't give you any more information other than it just sounds great. It sounds what people expect it to be like. Ed Sheeran meets Cradle of Filth. Can't say any more than that.
Okay, so we'll look for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to divide opinion. You know, there's going to be people that hate it. It's going to be people who love it. Can't help that. It will always be the same. But I really like the marriage of extremes. I think it's something that, you know, it's almost like AI generated. People are like, oh my God, I can't imagine such a thing, because such a thing doesn't usually happen. And that's why I like it, because it is strange, but it's fucking cool as well.
Okay, so thank you for this interview. It was nice.
Oh, my pleasure.
A nice moment for me. And do you want to add something before we end this conversation?
Well, yeah, thank you for the interview. Thank everybody that's listening / watching this interview for putting up with me and for the continued support for Cradle of Filth. As I said, new album coming next year. In the meantime, you've got the double live album coming out this Friday. You can get it from Amazon. I just throwing that out there because you can. And yeah, we're not doing any. We're only doing a handful of live shows this year in Europe. Unfortunately, none in France, but we were in France with Alceste just before Christmas. Well, just before Halloween, actually, last year. Next year, because of the new album, we'll be totally busy. We've got all the festivals. So we hope to see people there. Thank you for your continued support. You guys rock. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the live album and the new single, if we actually get around to delivering it to the record company.
Thank you. And
my pleasure.
My pleasure too. Have a nice day.
Yep, thank you. Take care.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.